if you've seen the second season of Baptiste on BBC, there's a powerful scene towards the end with Julienne Baptiste, a French detective trying to solve the case of a British ambassador's missing family members. Baptiste is ready to throw in the towel as the investigation comes to a close, and he realizes it's coming quite close to his own experience of losing a child. And the ambassador pleads with him not to give up, saying, "You can't quit. You and me, we share the same story." And this is the very thread that was holding them together, the one thing that they had in common. It's powerful when we can see our experience through someone else's eyes or through a different lens. When we might come from different backgrounds or different cultures, we can share the same story, and that makes all the difference. Sometimes it might be the only thing that we share in common with another person. So, a story can also be a point of learning. We pass stories down from generations, across borders, across age groups, across working contexts and experiences. It's as though they can be kind of a bridge between us. I remember when I was a child, my dad used to tell stories to my sister and I that he would make up on the spot, and the two of us would be the main characters. And I carried this with me into adulthood. And as I eventually went on to study adult education, I would sometimes ask myself questions in different contexts that I would be navigating, saying to myself, what's the narrative that's being formed here? What is the story that I'm telling myself? What am I learning through this experience? And what might I tell someone else in my situation if they were to experience the same thing? We pass down stories also when we engage in peer-to-peer learning as well. We relay certain skills to each other or knowledge pertaining to a specific subject. While it can take on many different forms, the common factor in informal or peer-to-peer learning situations is that the information doesn't come from an instructor or anyone else in a position of authority. Learning comes from practitioners, like in the adult learning sector, for example. That is, professionals who are on the same hierarchical level, teaching each other what they know and telling stories that matter in shaping them as educators. And this can take place in group settings or one-to-one. Think of it this way: if you have a challenge or you're navigating something, would you rather be trained by an external consultant who's telling you what to do or who has very little understanding or empathy towards your situation, or a peer who has had to deal with or resolve the same or something similar that you're currently facing? So not only is storytelling or peer-to-peer learning an effective way to transfer knowledge, but it also, if you can believe it, saves you time, energy, and money, coincidentally. But it needs to be done with a framework in mind, in a safe and exclusive space with other like-minded professionals who also get it or who have been there. Now, did you know also that peer-to-peer learning is quickly becoming the quickest way and most efficient way to solve a problem or develop yourself professionally in 2021? Well, there are even more benefits to this kind of learning. When adult learning professionals, for example, teach or learn from each other, they build a bond. It establishes trust and respect and a sense of dignity in what we do, no matter how marginalized the context that we work in. There's also a sense of comfort that peer-to-peer learning provides versus being taught in a one-off training session. It allows us to build strong connections with each other based on this kind of collective sharing of knowledge. And it also helps us to share our kind of quirky selves with one another, which is fun. And finally, and perhaps one of the most important for me, is that you get the results you're after in improving your practice with sustained interactions and dialogue over time, especially in the Adult Learning Hub. It solidifies your long-term memory and you're more readily able to apply learning into the real world. So learning by watching your peers, interacting with them, listening to their stories, following their lead is a highly effective way of learning informally while being low pressure at the same time. So in the Adult Learning Hub, I position you as an expert, and you know your context intimately like no one else does, and it deserves to be shared. So I don't tell you how to develop, but we have the support of our monthly themes and a weekly calendar of activities and events that provide you with a safe and exclusive space for you to critically reflect, share stories and experiences on a regular basis. And the best part is at the end of the month, you get a roundup of our key learnings together, giving you a framework to better navigate challenges, articulate your story, and build better habits to support your personal and professional growth. It's a place where you as a member can be yourself, and it's a platform that is owned and co-created together by each of you. If you're an educator of adults, even if we come from different backgrounds, cultures, or experiences, chances are we have something to teach each other as we share aspects of ourselves with one another. We're building something different here, together, and in ways that we can't do on our own. So, what's your story?